Yeah. So here we go, Daredevil.
Yeah, what do we got here? I'm not, I don't know all Daredevil, like every nook and cranny of all the history and everything, but I loved Frank Miller with Klaus Janson and David Mazzucchelli is just the shit.
Yeah.
And Innocenti and John Romita Jr. though was the stuff that I was reading when I was a kid that I loved, and I'll show something later where I like completely copied one of the stories. And
well, like Miller and Janson on Daredevil is where Miller and Janson became Miller and Janson,
Yeah.
right? Like that's where Frank Miller became Frank Miller.
Yeah.
Like this stuff, I don't even know when. This is not even so early in his run. Like it's not the really formative stuff, but it was like a sea change for comics, right? No one had ever seen these kinds of like this. Like no one he basically took Daredevil from a kind of like C tier like crappy Batman.
Yeah.
And made him something that was like crime oriented and like street level and New York gritty with amazing fight choreography.
So who invented him? Who invented Daredevil?
Stan Lee and Bill Everett.
Stanley and Bill Everett.
Who also created the
and
Submariner.
who created the costume?
The costume, probably Stanley and Bill Everett, but the red costume was created by Wally Wood.
Okay, so this is like a Wally Wood jam.
Yeah,
okay.
way early on.
Yeah.
Like when he goes from that kind of goofy yellow suit.
He's like,
and
just
becomes
make them all red.
Oh yeah, he went
he
from the
makes them
yellow
all
suit
red.
to the red suit.
Yeah,
So
and I think Wally Wood writes and draws like a few issues,
Yeah.
and then gets in a fight with Stan Lee and leaves.
okay.
And I think Stan Lee actually like scripts over Wally Wood's last issue,
Okay.
and Wally Wood's gone. Like he
So
just
so they got in
pieces
a
out.
fight.
Yeah.
And he's
Him
out.
and like Alex Toth, there's a few of those people at the time. It's like they're not going to be able to put up with Stan Lee stuff.
No, but you gotta
Yeah.
imagine.
They just want to do their own
like
thing.
Wally Wood at the time was like, oh fuck that panel. It's
Yeah.
amazing. Just open it now.
Well,
let's.
I just want to say, well, we're talking
let's check it
about
out.
Klaus Janson and Frank Miller. I opened this up yesterday. I hadn't looked at it in quite a while. Took it out of the bag, and I was like, oh, it's Frank Miller, and then I'm like, no, wait, it's Klaus Janson with all the zips and everything. And then like Klaus Janson.
Damn.
Wait, who did this? This is all Janson?
That's what I'm going to say is that you get to that face. I'm like, no, it's Frank Miller. That's a Frank Miller face.
Maybe.
And like, look at all this stuff. So I'm like, who did? So they're so tight together.
Is this both of them?
So
or
it is both of them, but I don't know where the division is.
When Miller left, Janson took over, right?
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah.
I don't know, not writing, but I don't think, but he wrote and drew it. And you can see, like, if you look at this stuff now, like Janson had a ton to do with the look of Dark Knight Returns.
So much.
Like, it's so like, I haven't seen these pencils, but I would love to because I'm guessing they're probably fairly loose-ish. Yeah. And Janson adds so much to these pages and to like Miller's entire look at the time.
He's one of those inkers that he was an artist himself, so he didn't feel the need to just go over the lines, right? He's like adding his own thing to it, and yeah, it's like for sure. Like I think that's all Miller, I think.
Yes.
But so many of his lines are like Klaus Janson lines that he took from Daredevil. He always takes it's like one of my favorite things we'll show later, Elektra Lives Again. It's like clearly he had already worked with Jeff Darrow because it's like so like intense, the detail and the clear line style.
Ronin and Elektra Lives Again. I don't want to turn this into a Frank Miller episode, but
Yeah.
we can't not.
It's
talk
hard
about,
not to.
Yeah,
it's
like
hard not to.
those really like took like a European slant, right?
yeah.
Like, but it all like those books, Ronin in particular, almost feels like Miller saying, "Hey, I'm not just like Klaus Janson. There's more here that I can do," and like just like upping his game.
So I have a question: is Daredevil Marvel's answer to Batman? I mean, he kind of has superpowers, but at the same time, he's very vulnerable, right? Yeah. So I always took it that Daredevil was like Marvel's Batman in the same way that I think Thor is Marvel's Superman. Yeah. It feels like that because Spider-Man and Daredevil are very, like costume-wise. I always thought they were very similar. So I was like, yeah, where is the big divide here? And I think the big divide is just, I think it's like his vulnerability as a human is a lot more Batman. Plus there's all the martial arts and ninja stuff and all the rest of it. And adding in the disability obviously makes him really interesting.
Yeah. When you're a kid, you see you see the horns. You're bound to relate Batman and Daredevil. When I was a kid, I was like, well, there's got to be some like similarity between them, silhouettes, and just being on the street and all that stuff.
There's also the whole kind of like Catholic religious aspect to Daredevil that Batman never had. You know, like people took that and it really like his constant. Like I don't think Batman ever was conflicted about what he was doing.
No.
Like Daredevil feels like Matt Murdock feels like he is like suppressing a rage.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah.
You know, like
His dad's a boxer.
Yeah.
I don't know how much of it was there before it, and Frank Miller maybe fleshed it out, or if Frank Miller, because that's the thing, I haven't read like pre-Frank Miller Daredevil really, so I don't know if some of these things were things he was picking from previous issues or previous history. But it's like the Catholic stuff. I think it's almost like they took a bunch of aspects to not make him Batman. You know, it's like he's got the Catholic guilt. He's poor. I mean, he's not poor, but you know, it's like working class, not rich. You know, like his dad's a boxer, and all these aspects that are trying to differentiate him from Batman.
And that makes him awesome too, because almost every DC hero is like rich.
Yeah, well,
They were all sort of. That's my thing with DC is a lot of the characters kind of are like the same guy. They're all millionaires. They're all
like entitled gods.
My parents died. My girlfriend died. They're all entitled gods. Whereas Marvel always had, you know, a lot more sort of like human thought put into the actual character itself. Like, but a lot of them felt like answers to DC. What would be like our Batman-ish comic? Because I mean, let's face it, like Daredevil and Batman, they're always hanging out on gargoyles. They're always on the top of rooftops. They're kind of doing the same sort of broody thing.
The cool thing about Matt Murdock to me was that, and again, I also don't know when this started, like if this was like a Miller thing or if it was before that. But the cool thing about Matt Murdock was always that like, it felt like his day job doing like pro bono, like street level legal work, felt like him just doing penance for beating the shit out of people.
Yeah, totally.
Like I just want to beat the shit out of people, but now, because I have to believe I'm a good guy, I'm gonna do this work.
Or the reverse. There's a few ways you could kind of play it, you know, where it's just like a constant commentary on how like the legal system doesn't work, because like all he ever does is go like try to put people in jail. Nah, that didn't work. I guess I got to go tonight and like get some information there to this.
You just brought this cover in, and I'm like I can't stop looking at it. It's so simple. I know it's a Dirty Harry poster, but it's like just blowing my mind. Like I can't stop looking at this.
But also shocking because it's a superhero with a gun, which I can't imagine.
Oh yeah,
were too many of those.
Here we go. We got Punisher.
Yeah,
So-
Jansen.
This is Miller and Jansen's story and art. Oh, so Jansen's doing finishes over Miller's breakdowns.
Well, what does O'Neill do?
He's editing.
Oh, he's editing. Go back.
But-
check this out. Look at the wash. It's just a gradient wash.
Yeah.
But this is not computer times. This is painting.
Yeah, I don't know how they did that.
Someone painted that wash.
There's a lot of zip in here, and we
yeah.
were kind of talking about this earlier about how the use of this like kind of like these tones and like those paste tones that they used to use.
Yeah.
Can't remember what they're called, but informed so much of what the like the look of this book and also the look of the rip-offs of it.
Yeah.
Like turtles.
Like turtles. Yeah.
And we talk about Batman, and then you think about Punisher too, and it's also like, is Punisher kind of like their Batman?
Yeah. Almost in a way, I think Punisher.
Maybe more like Batman?
Well, I don't know. You could, you know, what if Batman killed? He'd be Punisher, I guess. You know, it's like one of those kind of things where you can make those, all the street level characters, you can always make those comparisons.
This is a great panel.
Love the street level characters. They're so cool.
Yeah. Although it's like Spider-Man's different because he can kind of be, I feel like Spider-Man can be anywhere and he makes sense. Whereas Daredevil, if you put him on like a spaceship, it's like, why is he on a spaceship?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
I feel like Spider-Man's a bit more malleable.
Yeah.
I love these.
Frank Miller style.
Yeah, like these, a conversation happening in two different locations, and what's dividing them is this phone cord. Yeah. Did he do that more than once? Because I feel like I've seen
Maybe.
Miller do that. Like,
true.
it's such a
That Wolverine
such a
Kitty
Miller
Pryde stuff,
And
he
the
does a
color,
lot of the
like
back
blue-
and forth.
Blue
Panels.
pink, like the way that the colors play off each other. Who's the colorist? Even
Look at the great tint.
The coloring in this is pretty intense, man. It's really cool.
Rosen.
And it's before computer.
Oh, they don't even say.
I think
Oh
Jansen.
no, Jansen is the colorist. That's why.
Oh, wow. That's so cool.
I just kind of want to flip through this
Yeah,
because
yeah,
it's
I wanna
such
see
a.
it. Oh, do you remember this ad?
Yes.
The Willy Wonka ad?
That's actually one of the reasons I started, just like you guys, at the same time, pandemic stuff, finding this comic shop that's got, Comic Hunter that's got so many back issues, getting back into the single issues and finding stuff online and stuff. And it's like the ads are almost as like nostalgic to me as the comic.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, oh, I remember this thing.
Did
Beautiful.
you go to Comic-Con after we told you to go to Comic-Con, or do you
I
know
think-
about it already?
I think you told me about it, but I'm not sure.
I can't remember which of us went first.
Yeah.
Wicked. That's awesome.
Oh, so good.
That's
I like
awesome.
how he graphically separates places, you know?
It's amazing.
Great, like, really great fight choreography.
Daredevil, more so than other comics, has probably the best fight choreography all the time.
Yeah.
It always has the best.
So stuff like, where was it? So stuff like this, I feel like that segues directly to Romita Jr. Daredevil.
Yeah.
Like that could be
Yeah.
a Romita Jr. Aside from like these kind of Frank Miller-esque eyes, that could be a Romita Jr. Daredevil.
It's true, and the roughness of Al Williamson's inks on Romita makes it kind of closer to that
So with
organic feel.
with X-Men, I was seeing Romita Jr. one way,
Yeah.
the X-Men way.
Yeah.
And now that we're going back into all these, like buying everything again, Romita Jr. X-Men are my favorite of that era of all the artists now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm just like totally hooked on them. But then I remember getting this book in issues, and it was Romita Jr. starting to like morph into this more Frank Miller style. And this book in particular, yeah, like look at this.
Who inked this one?
Starts using that more. I think it's Williamson, but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I could be wrong.
But totally, they're like, let's do John Romita Jr., Frank Miller. And this started informing his style from here on in. Plus, this is the issue where like he doesn't even have his costume. And it's
I
the
love
only
this
time.
stuff. I love when he does like these hairy dudes.
like
Just the hairy
Neil Adams, hairy Batman. Like,
Neil Adams did like the hairy, like straight hair hairy Batman, but
Yeah.
I don't know anyone else who does the crazy curly, like the big like Italian mobster curly hair, like back hair.
I think this is one of the first comics that I got when I was younger that I thought was really cool because it was like an origin story to the superhero, and it was him like as a kid with different variations of a costume. Like he gets into I think the black costume with, the sort of like ninja black costume here later that I thought they did really well on the show, on the Netflix show. I love when he was in the black costume stuff. But
There's something about Frank Miller teaming up with great storytellers like Mazzucchelli and Romita are the two that pop to mind. Like he's teamed up with a lot of different artists, but when he teams up with like really, really solid storytellers, I find that Miller kind of focuses his energy a bit more and makes it a bit more of a straight story instead of a wild kind of anything can happen thing. And those are my favorite Miller stories.
like this is definitely when Romita Jr. gets into like the boxier hands.
It's true. It starts,
It all starts getting different, and then finally he's like in the outfit. Like, look at that, and look at all the different variations of the outfit, all
Oh,
through
that's really
history,
cool.
right? So obviously there it's like original into.
It's interesting
Wallywood.
to see his evolution from 80s X-Men to this. Like it does, like there's that blocky anatomy in the early X-Men stuff, but it really like becomes a thing by this time.
Yeah.
Like let's look at some like older, like let's talk like Romita Jr.,
can't-
Al Williamson,
Kingpin,
classic like Innocenti.
Whoa!
like
What's
that must have
happening here?
so intimidating for Romita to be
Liberation.
inked by Al Williamson because it's like
Yeah, it's
that
weird.
guy's amazing.
Al
It's like
Williamson
such a
is a beast on his own.
Classic
you think it'd
artist,
be
one of
opposite?
the greats. Yeah.
You think it'd be opposite?
He inked for, maybe it's later in his career, maybe he just felt like
This is
getting an
Al
inking
Williamson
paycheck, or I don't know what, but like, why was he inking instead of still drawing
Oh my
his own
god, this
stuff?
is
I don't
gorgeous.
Isn't it amazing? I
is
love
gorgeous.
I love that Williamson was doing, because you've seen Romita Jr.'s pencils, right?
Yeah.
Like it looks like he does these like amazing staging and amazing shapes and forms, but like his black areas are like a lot of side of the pencil.
Yeah.
And then like this is how Williamson interprets it. This like really loose kind of like chunky brush. It almost looks like
It
a
looks
marker.
amazing.
Yeah, I think maybe that's marker. And I saw, you know what, actually, I
I've not looked
I
at
went
this
to
comic.
Naples for a comic convention to promote Kaya, my comic. And there was a John Romita, like they invited John Romita there, and they had a bunch of his artwork from very, very beginning where he was, I think maybe he was inking over his dad, and up until, I got some of this stuff here, like Thor and Cable, Spider-Man, X-Men, like just like one piece from each kind of stage of his career. And the Williamson stuff, like, it is, like some of those marks, the background marks, a lot of this background stuff that he would just kind of do this, it's like Sharpies. Like, it's like, you can tell it's fading, and the front stuff is like proper like brushes and stuff, so
Wicked.
I think he liked that, the the
So
contrast
it was
makes.
sharp, like faded sharp.
I think so. I'm not sure what it was, but it was something real blunt, you know?
Wow.
And yeah, the way that you see it fade, it looks the way that Sharpies look after, years and
A lot of
years.
the street level stuff, when I'm looking at it, it's it's so cool. Was this an influence on you for Deadly Class?
Yeah,
Any of the
for sure,
Daredevil-
for sure.
this
There-
stuff?
This stuff is an influence. I took everything that I loved when I was a kid in the 80s, and this is one of them, and Frank Miller, Daredevil, and Mazzucchelli. So it's all, like Daredevil, Batman is like a huge influence on that stuff.
They do a lot of like cool layout stuff in Daredevil. Like they really push the envelope for layout a lot, and
Yeah.
I see you doing that in Deadly Class.
Yeah.
I like these marks.
There's
Just
so
the scratchy
crazy.
jean texture.
Just look at that dude. Yeah, that dude's amazing.
Romita Jr. also does, before we move on, like just like some of the best like crowds of just like different cool,
Different
interesting
personalities,
people
yeah.
on the
Yeah,
street.
I always love his thugs too. Like his random thug guys are always my favorite.
This guy is like
thugs.
straight out of whatchamacallit, the Warriors.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
It's like 10 years later.
Yeah, they all look like they're from the
To him, they
Warriors.
still dress that way.
Oh, look at that shot of Daredevil.
Yeah.
That's gorgeous.
Random pig.
Weird. What is the stain?
It's a gross
The
stain
weird
on
yellow
comic. Who
stain.
knows?
Mustard.
But then
That's what I
there's
love.
stuff like that's not even him.
That doesn't look like
I
him.
think somebody else.
That's
did
not
that
that that doesn't look like Williamson Inks.
Not at
Doesn't
all.
look like either of them.
So weird.
It's so like
like this
properly
tree.
hatched, and then it goes back to this craziness, like where he's just like
What a wicked shot.
he's doing them fast. Too.
So you saw original pages from this run.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, it was cool. to
That
see
stuff. Whenever he's like listening and then they do the spirals. That's wicked.
Oh, and his splashes are just killer,
Badass.
just so good. You were talking before in your Kirby episode about like the splashes, and he's one of those guys that definitely. I loved Quasar. He's so lame, but I loved this comic when I was a kid.
Really? I haven't looked at it in years.
You
They used to have
and
little
nobody else.
scientific factoids at the end, and I was like, "Oh, interesting science! I'm
look at
learning
shit.
stuff."
I'm sure there are Quasar fans out
If
there.
you're talking about Mazzucchelli, this just came to me like 2 weeks ago, and I ordered it at Comic Hunter because I was dying for this cover. And I had been buying some of the other Daredevils. Like this issue, the story in this issue is one of the best stories ever. But this is all sort of like Mazzucchelli, and like I posted this issue on my socials, and so many people responded to
This issue is like a master class.
It's a
in
master
comic
class.
storytelling.
Like, just check it out.
Look at this.
Look at this.
I love
Look at this body language.
Batman Year One the most for Mazzucchelli.
Oh, me
And even
too.
later when it
Me
gets even
too.
more and more abstract, but it's so cool seeing him try so many things in the Daredevil comics.
It's so weird for me because like when I read Year One, which is one of my favorite comics of all time, like Batman Year One, Mazzucchelli, Frank Miller, and then you go read Frank Miller, even a few years later, I found like these are the same writers.
That's what I mean.
You know what I mean? Like that book in particular is
Yeah.
so mature, the way it's done, it's so clever, and then later on for Frank Miller, it's just like some like wild madman kind of.
Yeah.
And
It's totally different genres.
completely
You know,
different,
like it's,
yeah.
I feel like he like really immerses himself in different genres. Look at this.
Yeah.
Look at this sequence of the guy shooting blindly in the fog,
Mazzucchelli
and then getting
is so
punched out
good.
of the fog.
Mazzucchelli is what?
He does that punch. I've seen that in Year One or something. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, that looks very.
Is Mazzucchelli top 5 like of all time?
Yeah.
I think so.
Like his storytelling, like everything is amazing.
His progression, like that's the thing too. Romita, I could pull over some of his other stuff that he's done over the years, and just seeing them progress and not stay in the same kind of. They keep changing.
So if we're gonna talk about Mazzucchelli, let's get into this bad boy.
All right, hold on a second.
Oh, look
Because
how.
I'm really obsessed with.
Yeah, it's.
Especially
pack.
like I love the way this stuff looks on newsprint too.
Yeah, for sure.
When we were in Charlotte for Heroes, I got my. I think it's my first Romita Senior Spider-Man. And like I just bought this Spider-Man comic because I love the cover, and then I opened it up and started seeing Romita, and I was like, "Oh my God, he's amazing!"
Like him doing like the people of people of
So these are the artist editions, and I got this one a while back, and this thing just here we go. Mazzucchelli just kicking ass.
I think
Now-
Romita did like romance comics before that, so it's like his Spider-Mans are so beautiful compared to Steve Ditko's awesome, but it's weird.
Absolutely. Now, like obviously Mazzucchelli's got to be a big, like, worshiper of Toth. Like,
For sure.
you know, Jordi Bernay. When I think of Mazzucchelli, I think of Jordi Bernay. I think of Toth. Like, oh, and these books had these cool like transparent things that were like so dope. I think is this supposed to go? Yeah, is this supposed to go on this for the cover?
Yeah, it
So this was
overlays
like
this.
coming over.
Do you have? I think. Did I see that cover over there? No,
This.
Oh,
this,
do we have this cover
I don't-
here?
I don't think we have.
but maybe not. You know.
Wow.
This is crazy.
It's crazy the amount of effort. You're like, geez, this is monthly comics. Like,
Like, was
Look how
he?
chopped apart it got.
Who is inking him?
So this was taped to a board. It was taped to a board, and someone was just like, "Yeah, screw it."
That's super common to see on a lot of these
Yeah.
old pages.
the Kirby ones are destroyed. Wow. Yeah, the difference in pages is insane.
Yeah, instead
So
of
also like this is like Kingpin was like a shitty Spider-Man villain before Miller put him in
Yeah.
Daredevil. Like that's what made the Kingpin cool.
Yeah, and made him so he was like muscular, but it just looked like fat. So he's just this super imposing person, you know.
Romita Senior draws Kingpin because he's in that comic I got. Just draws him like Juggernaut in a suit.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like his head is just like this like toe, like this like big stumpy toe on his body.
Did he do stuff that was Danny O'Neill comics, or was it always with Miller? Do you know?
Who?
Mazzucchelli, like did he ever do stuff? Because I think Denny O'Neill was writing it before Frank Miller came on.
I think it was a different guy whose name I don't
Oh,
recall.
really? Okay.
That Frank took over.
Yeah,
Frank
those.
came on as a penciler and then took over the writing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Frank didn't write these Mazzucchelli books.
Coming under the nose, so great. Also, this
Yeah, so all
Wait, so good.
these are all Denny O'Neills. Like
Oh, really?
these
Yeah.
ones, yeah. All those Mazzucchelli ones are Denny O'Neill.
I love seeing stuff where he's becoming the next version of himself. Like that's a bit more like year one, and you know, like he's simplifying the lines and stuff.
Wicked.
2007, yeah, he's so different. So different at that stage. That's 2007 Mazzucchelli, and we're looking at
Yeah.
1985.
Yep.
something like
So does this not feel like animated, like Batman the animated series?
I think I saw him in New York City that year, and you guys were there. I remember I went up to Mazzucchelli, and I was like, "Oh, I love your stuff," because I wasn't a fanboy of his when I was a kid. I wasn't like super intimidated. Other people, I'm so intimidated to walk up to them if I was a big fan. But I came back, and Brendan actually was like, "You talked to Mazzucchelli?" And I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "I can never do that." I was like, "Oh, I guess yeah, yeah." And that's the comparison.
Yeah.
It's great how they would experiment with just trying to get as much as they could out of the colors and stuff, the separations and everything. This is a lot like that Windsor Smith cover where it's like they're doing a lot of colors in there, you know. They're
Yeah, totally.
little things, you know. Whereas on the interior they would just be like, it's teeth, just make them all white, or you know, like the color separators wouldn't put that much effort into it.
Wow, the storytelling in this is phenomenal.
Look at this body language.
Yeah, it's his posing is just brilliant every time.
And it just gets more and more refined where he has less to prove, where he's just like, oh, this line and this line and this line, and it's like a perfect leg or something, you know?
He's given her in this.
He tries that's like becoming the next stage of him, where it's like, that's like, I actually, in Deadly Class, I 100% copied that panel. I copied this whole page actually for the main bad guy of the series, this guy Shabnam, where it's like, I think that was Rick Remender's the writer of it. I think that was his idea. Like, you know that Mazzucchelli page? And I'm like, of course I do.
This looks like it could be like John Romita Jr.
Totally.
The line work here.
Totally. Those Williamson lines, the choppiness of it. That's what I mean, where it's like they make sense together, you know? That one's weird.
That is a weird shot.
That's the only.
Like, look at his foot going like his feet are super funny.
I bet you he made the perspective and he was like, that looks wonky, and he just...
Look at this. This just looks like the cover.
Yeah.
You ever do that where you like, I did that in Southern Cross 14 where the cover is actually like inside the book kind of too.
Deliberately or just happened?
No, it's just like I like the page so much inside the comic that I was like, I think it should be the cover.
Love these little things where he just leaves like white.
Look at him working out.
Yeah, I remember that as like a big thing back in the day where it's like, oh no, he's actually jacked.
There's like some sort of paste up here or whiteout.
And his leg too.
Yeah.
Too much, man.
Do you know? Do you know what these are? Is this for the camera?
It's cropping. It's registration
The registration?
to match up the coloring and the line art and everything. You know what though? I'm not
You must be right. Like,
random line.
oh yeah.
I think that's what it is.
Oh, look at this. Look at the zip.
These faces. He does.
Look at this biting lip.
Oh,
Yeah.
The old lip bite.
The lip bite.
Karen turning into a junkie. He does so well.
Look how simple this. Does this not remind you of All-Star Superman?
Yeah.
Well,
Like
that angle.
The angle and like the simplicity of it.
Yeah.
Like,
That's
Look at these plants.
strip cartoons.
Yeah.
You know, it's always like things are happening like this. I always find that kind of interesting.
I remember seeing all the originals for Frank Quitely's All-Star Superman at a show with Scott Hepburn. And I went up and I was like, how do you get away with not drawing anything on these pages? It's like all the characters look like this big.
Yeah.
And I'm like, there's like nothing on these pages.
I learned,
but when you see it in
I
color,
learned a
it's
ton from that, and which like one of the things was that like, oh, like pull back more.
Yeah.
Like, get some scope, get some small figures in there with some environments.
weird. Weird.
Yeah, that's him blacking out. He does so many different things on there that are kind of subtle too, like Superman sitting down. He's got his hand on the corner of the table, and he stands up, and you look.
Yeah,
like, the hand imprint is there. It's always this kind of closure thing, right? Like Scott McCloud talks
Oh,
about.
look
where
what we got in the back.
you're
We have
putting
some
the story
pencils.
together.
Pencils are that same scene, like him lifting weights and stuff. Look at that.
Well,
Pencils
here's
are
pencils
fantastic.
of the,
Yeah.
the lip bite.
The lip bite. Yeah. That was advantageous to just open it to the back on the pencil page we were just looking at.
is there? Like just.
Yeah.
But it's also like that's all you need too.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's just perfect.
That's loose. That's loose. I would not trust an inker to take that to the next level.
But he gets more and more this way, where it's like in year one, that's all he has.
Wait, we have that
You know what I
issue.
mean? Like he just does these lines. He doesn't
We
do
have
these
that-
extra lines.
We have that issue. Who's inking?
Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't look. I don't know actually.
There we go.
He colored it himself.
Is it just him?
I think he inked
It's
it and
just him.
colored it.
Oh, okay. So that's why
That's why
this is so loose, because he's like, I'm gonna ink it.
Yeah.
So he knows what he's doing. Okay.
And he pulls back on the over rendering so much as he goes along. You know.
I think the other big guy that we should talk about when you talk about Daredevil is this guy,
Yeah. This is like
Bill Sienkiewicz.
I just got this.
I bought the I had this. This is my copy from whenever it came out, 86.
Like originally, like back in
Yeah.
the day, you had this. I never had this when I was a kid.
This basically
Wow.
like all the Kingpin stuff you see in Into the Spider-Verse and all that stuff.
Yeah.
That's all Sienkiewicz just doing. His
Did you guys know that I got a Bill Sienkiewicz cover for that Outbreak Park book I'm gonna do? Oh man, it's so dope. This like hot zombie woman. So cool. What? What? He's crazy.
I think I want to do a whole show just talking about Sienkiewicz because he was one of my
Oh yeah.
biggest influences. I'm
Look
such
at
a
look
huge
at all the
fanboy.
look at this. This is just fine art. This guy's just pure
We'll
straight up
talk
fine art.
like Elektra, Stray Toasters.
You gotta
New
show the
Mutants.
you gotta show the Kingpin page.
I think it's
The famous Kingpin page.
Yeah, I have those somewhere. Here you go.
There it
Yeah,
is.
that's the classic.
That's the page.
Yeah.
Look at that thing.
Ridiculous.
Oh my god.
Flowers.
Look where his head goes on his body.
Just amazing.
Just so
So cool.
So gutsy.
Yeah.
Just be like, screw it.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna do this like so out of
The
proportion.
new Spider-Man animated like movies. Like this
That's him.
they're just like looking at this.
It's so cool that he was able to put his stamp on it so hard that they were like, well, that's him. You know, like no other
It
version.
looks like
of
a
him.
donut.
Yeah, just a giant shape. I think that's the thing that's inspiring for me on him is that he just goes off, and I find myself so restricted in my trying to keep the anatomy tight and perspective and everything.
I
It's
think
like
that
this guy
like
goes
down to the lines. Like if we're looking at those Mazzucchelli pages, like I look at those because they were full. Those are actual size pages, right? Or reproductions. I look at them and I think, man. And same thing with Miller's stuff. Like and Jensen, I think like this stuff is so unfinished looking. Like I don't know that I'd ever let myself send those pages. It just feels like scratchy thumbnails, but it completely works, and it just tells me constantly that I'm way too precious
Yeah.
with lines.
Me too.
Like, I think you just need to, I just need to loosen up a lot.
I did it on one cover for Deadly Class where I feel like I actually was able to be free. And it's like I keep looking back at that thing and being like, just remember that you did it once, you know, like try to do it again.
So I think we need to talk about how that influenced just about 5 million covers.
Yeah, for sure. I think it was a poster in the comic shop I used to go to.
I had
as a
that
kid.
poster.
You had that poster? Yeah.
need
I
to
still
get
have
that
it
poster for the
somewhere.
studio.
I think I have it at home.
But like, how many times has there been like a Deadpool cover with like a gun with 8,000 guns attached to it, or like Rob Liefeld, I'm sure, has done stuff with this cover.
It's true.
Like this cover alone, like one single character with the silliest, biggest gun of all time.
White background.
The
White
tiniest little
background.
sigh, like for comparison. I wonder how many even like white covers there were at the time where that was
yeah.
that was bold enough to be just, we're just going to do it plain white. I mean, I bet you most comics are like, put a million things on the cover, you know? I'd imagine it's like there's designers once in a while, like Jim Steranko, Bill Sienkiewicz, they come along and it's like they're actual designers.
There's another one.
Yeah.
Needs more white, right?
I think, yeah. I kind of like it with the purple.
I do
but-
too.
So nice you did it twice.
Yeah, I like it. I like that he did it twice. That's great.
I don't want to
Bill
get. I don't want to
Sienkiewicz.
get deep into these because
Okay, yeah,
this
you wanna-
series, this series
You
deserves
want to
its
do a
own
Bill
thing.
Sienkiewicz?
Yeah.
I don't have this.
I got a lot to say.
All right, go.
White cover, beautiful. The Greek style, because she's Greek, the Greek lettering, which I think is done by Miller's brother, maybe, or his last name's Miller. I've never actually, you know, these things that you see and you're not talking to anybody about some of the comic book stuff. Like there's like creators that I still don't know how to pronounce their name. I'll call Dick Giordano, Dick Gordano from like years and years. He's just like, that's Perez's inker, you know?
Yeah.
And I didn't know what he was like big up in the company and everything. So I think that's his brother. I'm assuming his last name's Miller.
Why is he credited somewhere?
Yeah, he's credited as the logo designer, I think. That is just so.
Wow.
Again, talk about rough. Like,
This book's a
what
masterpiece.
is that? You know, just so. I know it's blown up. It's so choppy.
Is this
looks
pre-Sin
like-
City?
Yes.
Yeah.
This looks like it was like, yeah, it's blown up, but it looks like it was drawn with like a chiseled edge of something.
For sure.
You know, like I don't know what
that's
that
what
is.
that's what I draw with, and I'm sure it's because of seeing stuff like this. I draw with like a chiseled edge thing a lot because I just like the choppiness of some of it. You know, huge influence. I want to see just to make sure I'm not. Titles by Steve Miller. I don't know if that's his brother or not. The amazing Lynn Varley. Jim Novak. Just learning about. Really, never really noticed that stuff.
Isn't he? Is he a Steve Miller?
Steve Miller Band?
Steve Miller Band? Yeah.
He does logos and he's in it.
Yeah, it's,
Yeah. That's
he just
like,
moonlights as Frank
yeah,
Miller's
2 bars of
Steve Miller, no relation, like Alan Moore and his buddy.
Frank Miller's partying with Steve Miller Band, and he's
Alan
like,
Moore's friend who came in and did that stuff for Image.
Yeah,
Something else.
Steve Moore.
Steve Moore?
Oh man,
Even more?
is it? Oh boy, I'm
This is
feeling
brilliant.
bad. So crazy.
this page is brilliant.
Yeah, Lynn Varley, like going off the painterly style. Just when I was a kid, and it's like, you know, those things you see them later after they come out and they don't have the same effect. Like it's like, oh, this was a big deal. Like if you read Watchmen at the wrong time in your life, you go, I don't get it. But it's also because like if you had seen it at the time, it's been copied so much that it loses its effect 10 years, 15 years down the road, where it's like everyone has copied this thing so you know all the tropes. But like this thing I actually saw when it came out. So it was like,
There's stuff in this book that, like, as they say, lives rent-free in my brain. I just think about it all the time. There's a scene we will get to quickly, very soon, like, which is like Matt Murdock in his apartment.
Yeah.
You know the page.
Yeah.
And it cements so much of that character because like he's talking about he says in the narration like about the very specific design of his apartment and like what he needed as a blind man.
Right.
He's in the tub for it.
I'm gonna show where he gets all drugged up in the tub. Hold on. I want to show how awesome I am by just being able to flip to the page, but I couldn't do it. That one?
Yeah.
Yeah. These tiles, like that.
It's very Blade Runner.
Oh yeah.
It's like,
Like-
totally Blade Runner.
That Mobius level of like, or quiet. Frank Wiley does this too. This Mobius, quietly, etc. Clear line European style of like, it's just bricks and stuff, but they look so cool.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they
Yeah.
just look so
Well, the
great.
shapes are amazing.
Yeah.
And he does this later with those like vaulted ceilings in the church later. But yeah, just the shapes going on in this environment are awesome.
There's something
And then like Varley's painting of it is next level.
And these this ninja stuff in the graveyard where she's like
let's
I copied. Hold on, I want to show you each thing that I've copied like 20 times in Deadly Class. Deadly Class is like 56 issues, and I went back to the well like numerous times. So like a bunch of these things that were
Let's go back to the beginning because this is some peak.
This is Sin City. You know what I mean?
Yeah, completely.
It's extreme shadows that he's using. That's basically a priest from Sin City, except that in this he doesn't get like shot through the head or whatever by the end of the scene. That's insane. And just giving Lynn Varley like go to town on this thing. I bet you even asked her, you know, like they were together. I'm sure he was asking like, well, what do you think would really inspire you? And I would not, I'm making it up, but I wouldn't be surprised if she said, I love stained glass windows. And then he just like,
wow.
yeah.
And wow.
And it's gnarly too. When I was a kid, I was like, it's ugly. To me, that's what I thought when I was a kid. I'm like, it's ugly in a way. You know what I mean? It's not pretty
like her
lines.
Eyes, the
but
nose,
I love it.
nostrils.
It was so influential on me, like aesthetically. And I don't like. I see how one might say there's an ugliness to it, but like, I think it's just so gorgeous. Like
it's
this
beautiful.
face, everything. I just think it's the most beautiful thing.
I just think at the age that I was when I saw Ronin and Dark Knight Returns and this when I was a kid, I didn't see all of his stuff, but those are the things I saw. And it was like, I was young enough that I felt kind of gross almost in a way. Like there was a certain kind of like nastiness to them or whatever, but at the same time, like they were such well-told stories and they still, other stuff I would have turned away. Like I saw like Faust when I was a kid and I was like, I can't do it. You know, like it was like I was too young and it kind of grossed me out, but like this stuff, it drew me in. Even if I didn't like it at first, it drew me in.
Even like these don't feel like traditional Miller forms.
No.
Like there's like a meatiness to them that you typically didn't see before.
And he's going for it. Like he's really going for it. The big size of it, the beautiful paper. I'm like, this is a weird thing.
I love the
like smell book. Like I love the smell of like European. I don't know what's Japanese books, European books. Like I'm always in the bookstore like a weirdo like this, like just smelling the books.
I love these layouts.
Yeah.
The layouts are fantastic.
I mean, like I copied. You know, basically this kind of set up the aesthetic I was going for with the book that I was doing. You know? Yeah, so crazy. Like stuff like that. It's like it's gross. I don't know. Something with this guy that just kind of grosses me out. This simplicity of the drum.
This is very beautiful too.
Other people have done that.
Yeah. It's like shots in the bed with the drapes and everything. It's gorgeous.
And just being like bold enough to be like, that's a page. You know what I mean? We would never do that as like one page.
Yeah, nothing about this feels rushed.
I need to own this book.
It's very indulgent.
Very, very European.
I also love that Murdoch's just like a constant womanizer.
He is.
Like he's just always with somebody.
Yeah.
He's just constantly desired, and he just doesn't care half the time.
And it's not like a James Bond thing where it's just like, hey, he's just super suave. He's just more like he's just kind of a bit of a slut, and he can't really control his desires, and he doesn't feel great about it after. Like in this one too, he wakes up and he's like, oh, is it this part? No.
He's like hot jacked blind lawyer.
He wakes up from sleeping with this woman. Hold on, I copied that a million times. Yeah, this is
this page right here.
This is what I copied a million times.
Yeah.
Is just the
I remember seeing
the multiple images of somebody going down the stairs and trying to make all the perspective work and everything. Like
there's another one of these where he's leaving the police station, right?
Yeah,
another one of these.
Yeah, is there one in like a school?
I love this
Is there one in a
environment.
school with a stairwell?
There's one in the police station.
The police station. Okay.
Look at these bricks.
Yeah.
That basically sets the tone. Like that's all you need to know about New York, like the Hell's Kitchen environment.
I think that's what it is too. Is that it's like you really can just dive in there. Like it feels so.
Like these skylights.
And also sometimes he just does it black. He's not constantly trying to prove stuff to you with like, look at how well I can draw this thing. But sometimes he just does that and he's just going for it.
It's brilliant. And
I
also,
always wondered how he got in there.
I also love that Frank Miller does the Venetian blind thing all the time.
Yeah, how do you get in there?
I don't know. He just jumped over because he's Daredevil. He probably just like vaulted over this thing and flipped and opened a filing cabinet and then flipped back to his bed. Like this, he's like, I don't have to put anything proof here. We're just gonna imagine that with no Lynn Varley. It's like there's nothing there.
I wish I kind of want this in my home now. I think I need to make this.
Well, just
you know the divider between the kitchen and the living room. It needs one of these.
This is a great like non-panel sequence.
Yeah. A little bit of Eisner type stuff here, playing with everything. I've always been like Alex Toth, Mike Mignola, Mazzucchelli, people that are able to have the balls to just be like, I'm not going to do even one piece of snow.
Yeah.
You know, like it's so
Not even
tough
a not even a
do
shadow to
line.
suggest they're standing.
No, like everybody knows what it is. Look at that pose too. It's so cool, man. Because you know what to do that to pull it off. You know he had to grid everything out really. Like he had to know. You can see the perspective kind of going up on her and then like falling back. You know?
I bet you the next time one of us draws snow, we're gonna do this.
I can't wait.
Right now.
Like an issue
guarantee you, if
an issue
snow
of
comes
Kaya.
up, we're gonna do this.
An issue of Kaya is going to be in the snow, and it's going to be there's going to be some aspect that I didn't realize is going to be super hard. But also, I love he puts a mutant in there. This is post Dark Knight, so he puts that little. Do you see that little mutant from Dark Knight? Yeah.
I'm in a snowy scene right now, and I didn't do that.
Again, back to like this is what Sin City will become.
Yep.
But again, without Lynn Varley, it just becomes shapes.
This is gorgeous.
Yeah.
That composition right there is brilliant.
Yeah. This big setup shot with intricate little like dialogue panels up above and below. This just being able to do that. Like what's that?
Silhouettes.
Just silhouette. Just like that's all.
Is that like a butt?
It puts you there. It's true. It is
It's
still
probably a
it's
butt
still,
or a
it's still
boob.
a Marvel comic, so you got to like
Yeah.
watch what you do. I've
Yeah.
also copied this. Saya from Deputy Class does this where she walks on a wire. It's like the only like
Oh my god.
non-realistic thing he does.
Totally Mobius. That totally reminds me of Incal right there. That shot down in Incal.
I was always,
this guy.
I was always like mesmerized by this,
yeah, look at this creep.
the layers of these ledges.
Off or something.
Yeah.
Also, this weird little turret window.
Yeah, so
That's awesome.
strange.
You know, he's just looking at New York, like taking it all in. This amount of work too, Lynn Varley does on this, like this iced over.
Look at this. Look at the quilt.
That's in you. Yeah, the quilt is like 100%
Wild.
her.
And again, no deadline because it's just the amount of time it takes to do things like that. Like,
Yeah.
man, I even like, I love that.
That thing is cool too.
You know,
Yeah, what is that?
Like, there's such little intricate little details that are so cool.
Building's gorgeous. I think.
And just the idea, like comic books, like there's no motion in comic books, but
this is
and that
This
Such
can we just talk about? This is the layer of snow,
Snow off the
that
wire.
was removed when he bent the wire down. That's fucking amazing.
the way the wire bites into the middle of his foot, you know, like just these little details. And again, he draws it. If you zoom in, it's like it's so rough. It's so rough. He does not care about these hands.
It's cartoon.
He just does what he has to do. Yeah. But he does everything like, you know, he figures it out. Yeah, this again, like Varley goes a little crazier on the snow this time, probably just to vary it up.
It's got to be right after this that he does that Wolverine and Ninjas poster.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it
Yeah,
basically this.
totally.
It's those same types of ninjas. So many like wraps around their costumes and that kind of stuff to kind of to feel the texture. Like these
Look at this guy's shoulder pads.
Yeah.
wild ninjas.
Yeah, these are wild ninjas. Like imagine showing up to a ninja fight wearing those shoulder pads.
Yeah, I thought this spear when I was a kid, I was like, whoa, that's crazy. You know, just like that's such a crazy long spear. I hadn't seen any manga where it was like that was like par for the course, like crazy huge blades and stuff like that at the time. So
Wicked.
to me, these guys were pretty over the top. Yeah, very cool. You can tell one of the things that we love because we're really like diving pretty deep into, into this one.
Oh yeah, this
But
one's
I
really fantastic.
I mean, like, but I think it's warranted because aside from just being a spectacular looking comic, it's also like quintessentially Matt Murdock Daredevil. Like,
Yeah.
there's a lot of like psyche here. You know,
Yeah.
there's a lot that goes like in this book, like that informs his character.
I think also like on the writing side of things, it's a strange story. It ends in a weird way. There's a lot of weird stuff. Some of it is clearly like borrowed from Hollywood type stuff, like you know, the thing like Scanners or whatever, where they're having the psychic battle in the prison and everything. But it feels a bit like an 80s movie, like a John Carpenter or you know, where it's just a bit wild. You know, like it's okay. Not everything has to be like currently it's like 3-act structure. There can be no dangling plot lines. Everything has to be every metaphor has to tie into, you know, like there's no like extraneous stuff there, but it's like, I think things were a bit more loose at that time. And that's kind of how it feels. Like he's just going off and just things, this blew me away when I was a kid.
oh yeah, like a dude getting cut in half.
It's just nothing. It's just
that's
butter.
awesome.
Like you're like, oh.
I love her costume design. It's so awesome.
Yeah, and look at the little, this is something I never, because I've looked over this like a million times, so a lot of it I've noticed little details, but it's like that straight arm somehow, and the fact that, I didn't realize that's
Yeah, his
cut.
his
she
spear
cut
got
right,
cut.
cut right
that
through
straight arm
Yeah.
lends itself to feeling like the funk, like going right straight down, you know?
Yeah.
It's pretty gnarly, I know, but it's all composed to make you feel that action. Yeah.
How long is this fight scene?
Yeah, how long
It's
is
so
this
long.
fight?
It's
scene?
also like this kick.
Just the best kick. Like,
I love that they're hissing.
in his
These are they're
shoulder
undead.
blades,
These
yeah.
are undead
Yeah.
ninjas, right? Aren't
I
they?
don't know.
Yeah, they're ninjas.
But are they undead ninjas?
Probably. I think they
I
are.
think they
Zombie
are.
ninjas?
Like, aren't they coming back from the grave, like in the?
Oh man, zombie ninjas would suck.
That's also the best.
what a good closer. His face.
He's got these big claw feet.
Oh, and then it gets into that scene.
Yeah.
He's on drugs in that scene and he almost passes out.
Here we go. This is what I was talking about. Like.
Yeah, we were on this one.
Yeah, we was talking about using drugs.
Oh yeah.
He doesn't like to use drugs because it makes his senses too sharp, I think. And then he's like, he's about to pass out in the water and he's like, Electra. I'm talking about Electra. I'm thinking about
I
Electra.
made the contractor miserable when I had this place renovated. I had very specific notions about what I wanted from my home. I still think about that all the time.
Totally. Yeah. Like, that guy's rich.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
When I was a kid, I was like, this guy is rich.
How great is that page?
Wicked.
What I love too, I'm glad. Yeah, that's
Look, wait, we're on page 35.
that-
We've
that-
just
Yeah,
gotten
yeah.
to Bullseye.
I know.
Yeah.
Like,
that. But that's the climax of this of this scene.
Right.
Yeah.
But you show it. The first thing you see is that, and you're going. It's just a different way for comics to work. You don't usually use that where it's like, wait, what's going on there? And there's nothing's explained. And then by the end of it, you realize, oh, okay, that's when he got assassinated. Like that and that are like the same shot.
These panels are dope. The TV panels.
Yeah, that's when it's like full Jeff Darrow kind of full clear line. That's what I thought when I was a kid.
I love his.
I think before
When I
this,
think Frank Miller, I think the TV panel, like the TV
yeah.
person speaking, and then when you watch RoboCop, like 1 and 2, you're like, this feels like a comic by Frank Miller because it has like the panels with the news reporters and stuff like that.
Yeah.
it's very 1980s style too, where it's like music video, right? Like a million things coming at you. There's like 10 different narrators. There's so many different kind of pieces of information.
So big. This must have been a beginning or either beginning or end of an issue.
His shades.
Yeah.
They're so wild.
Just black.
Just the shape of them.
Cool
Like,
black
is that
square.
supposed to be super like fashionable, or is it just something you thought would be fun? And this chink chink chink, and then seeing these guys coming up, no words, no description, just
These more ninjas?
those are living ones, I guess. I guess that's the difference.
You can hear those ones?
They have color.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah, this I found so gnarly when I was a kid. I was like,
Oh, yeah,
they're
all
so
these guys-
gross. Yeah. Something about the nakedness. I probably hadn't seen too many like naked bodies at that point. I was a little kid, you know?
Yeah, I remember
What?
that moment
Dick
when I was
in comics?
Yeah, I remember that moment when I was watching the documentary to Crumb, and he was just drawing naked people everywhere. And up to that point, I had never drawn naked people.
Yeah.
And this is
Like
what
it was
I want
right
to do in
before
my
I went
life.
to art college in high school, and I was like, "Oh my god, I can draw them without underwear and stuff, without feeling like a horrible human being." I remember that, and then you go to art college and you're drawing naked people all day, but like with models and stuff. But I remember before
He
that.
has a ninja
I
star
wondered
on
about that a
the
lot. That
Oh,
ninja
that's
star on the
crazy.
nipple.
nipple.
Oh yeah, ninja star on the nip.
She's
gonna
using,
keep it there.
using everything.
So crazy. Oh, look at this weirdo.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, they just get
Pretty
up off
gross.
the morgue table and
Oh,
Just
that's
how he drew them
creepy.
is just, yeah,
That's
the thing.
awesome.
He's making it into a horror movie, I think. That's the thing.
Totally.
And like, so he's like, how gross and
I'm surprised he got away with this at Marvel.
it's epic,
Yeah.
which is a division of.
Oh, it's epic.
I
Okay.
think
yeah.
that allowed you to get away with more. I think that's
Yeah.
what the deal was, you know? Like Star Slammers and all these things. Like a few things were through Epic. Yeah. They're, all this stuff.
I love this.
And then this, again, just the boldness to be
Stark
like,
white.
I don't need to draw anything else.
This is
It's
obviously taken
very
from-
much a spread, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yes.
he composed these as two
Yeah.
facing pages. Look at the painting on this.
It's so good.
Love that face.
Painting's
I like
crazy.
just a bit of red around
This
the
face
eye.
in particular is amazing. Look at his
Matt's-
eyebrows.
Matt's having a tough time there,
Oh yeah.
but he wins out.
So Wes, did you bring like art inspired by Daredevil?
Yes.
We should check that out.
Okay.
Let's get into that.
that's pretty
We've been
much-
deep
Yes,
in this
we've-
book.
we've given this book a lot of
We've been
details.
deep in this Electro book.
I gotta show you
one thing. This is how much I liked the Ann Nesenti John Romita Jr. run when I was a kid. And it's just, this is Daredevil. He's in a bar. Even as a kid, I thought it was weird because it's like he's
Is that bandages on his?
Daredevil.
Yeah, he's
Chin?
all beat up.
He's all beat up. No one cares though.
Yeah.
They're like, just Daredevil. Leave him alone. You know, like they don't care. It's very surreal, I found, you know. I didn't know that word surreal when I was reading it as a kid, but that's what I think of it as now.
Yeah, it's
And
weird.
he's talking to this lady comes along, and then slowly it gets revealed that over the course of this story arc, he's fighting Mephisto, which is basically like the devil. So it's like, you know, Daredevil versus the devil. And then he's going, you know, something's wrong, bats her away, which I guess we're supposed to go, oh my God, you just hit a woman.
I always love John Romita Jr.'s flash dance hair.
Yeah. He knows the 80s really well.
Yeah. That
Big
curly
shoulder
hair.
pads,
Yeah.
curly hair. And then he realizes that the woman is Mephisto in this awesome splash page here. Like
Oh man, too much tongue.
just the anatomy. I love. It's like little things that different artists do. I love his short boots.
Yeah, the
I
short
always thought
boots,
The short
They were
boots?
shorter
Yeah.
than the average, and I just always
like
looked below
the
calf.
calves and the way he draws, even like the soles of boots.
You know?
That's great.
He drew Mephisto this way. No one drew him like that before. This is the question I want to ask him if I talk to him one day. Why did they let you draw Mephisto however you wanted to draw him? And yet he doesn't look like that in any other comic. Like in Marvel, pretty much people
He always looks the same.
model. You don't have to. You're not allowed to veer too far away. Everyone's got a different Wolverine haircut, but you know, generally it's like you got to draw them how you draw them. And yeah, I love this so much. Yeah, so gnarly.
When he gets into this stuff, where he just crosses the form,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? That was always like really weird to me. Like I'd never seen it before. Like it's just going.
like contour drawing.
Yeah,
Contour
it's
drawing way
it's a
over the-
shorthand for showing perspective on a
Yeah.
form, right?
I use that for sure too. But that it's a choppy. It's like what Mobius does, but it's like a choppy, rough version.
This can dirty up a drawing real quick and make it overworked.
Well, like,
real
look at
quick if
this.
you're not careful.
Yeah.
Like I would say this is
Not-
overworked, and I would say this is brilliant.
Not all of it made it to print. You can tell, like, you know what I mean? Like this old printing procedure. Like I'd imagine the actual originals look
Like
quite
on it.
different.
Daredevil's like on his creepy fingernails.
That's a great page.
Oh, so crazy, man. Loved it so much as a kid. And then he falls and he's back in reality. And it's the whole issue's like a trip, you know? It's like, did any of this happen? And then like, yeah, so I love that so much that
Are these the original pages?
These are the original pages.
Is this what is that Mark?
it's marker, yeah. So I got real, I was like, the whole thing's gonna be marker. And then eventually I was like, yeah, I don't know about that. As you do when you're a kid, you know, you try things out.
But it's like it looks nice. Like the marker's pretty cool.
Yeah, so it's this. So instead of Daredevil, it's just this kind of. I was like a greaser when I was a kid, like a rockabilly kind of a kid. So it's this guy, this scumbag kind of greaser guy, smoking butts back when you could.
What year is this?
I don't know.
When did you draw this?
It was the year of the ice storm in Montreal. So whenever that
Oh,
was like
man.
93, our home like had no heating. It was this crazy ice storm in Montreal. Everything was broken. No, the heating, the lights, everything. And like, but some people did have power. My grandmother had power. It was kind of a few blocks away from us. So my family and my aunt and uncle's family moved in with my grandmother for like however long it lasted until the power was back on. And this is what I did the whole time. I stayed in the basement watching TV and I just drew this comic the whole time.
Wow.
So it's this scumbag that runs into this guy, this little guy, who's called Little Shoot. It's a name for the devil, and I thought I was being super witty, of course, but it's like Lil Nick or Old Nick or something like that. One of the many like nicknames for the devil. And he goes, to sympathy, get it? Sympathy for the devil. You know, I'm a kid. And
Right.
you know, I'm thinking I'm being witty. But I put a lot of effort into it, though. I'm still looking at it, and I'm like, oh, at least I tried pretty hard.
Yeah,
You know?
this is cool.
Yeah, trying out stuff like that. And then it turns out, oh, look, oh, it's
Oh, he's a crazy devil. Yeah, and he's got the
He's gonna pay for
this
his
business.
Did you do this all in white ink, or did you outline this and color it inside
I
every
did the
line?
black.
Wow.
That's when you're a kid.
Yeah,
you have
yeah.
all the time in the world, you know?
sins. Or you
It's
don't know the
it's
tools
quite
well enough.
flat. I mean,
Yeah,
you can
it's
see
great.
some of
Good
the
heads.
strokes, but it's actually pretty. Yeah, I think there's a lot. It's cool framing. So this almost looks like
This
the
is
Sam
fantastic.
Keith Sandman.
Yeah,
panel.
totally. Yeah, that's true.
Um,
Yeah, I think, I was into that kind of stuff, I think, at the time. So, yeah, that was just, you know, and then he wakes up, same thing. What happened? Did this really happen? He doesn't know. It ends up he killed, I think, his wife, and it's like he's he's like, I'm waiting for you in hell kind of a thing, you know? So yeah, so that's how, and it was just a straight rip off of that issue. That's how much I like that issue.
Yeah. So I started to tell you before. So when I was first sending submissions to Marvel, I met or I talked on the phone to Steve Lieber, who I think was the art director at the time, and he sent me a sample script to work on, to see if I could do not like fight scenes and action stuff. And the sample script he sent me was this Beer for the Devil one. So I have sample pages of my own that are just that. It's hard. It was hard to do. Like Daredevil sitting at a bar, it's not an easy thing to compose.
That's a classic cover right there.
Get into a bar, draw some of the details. Like, how do you know? At that age, you don't know. You don't notice things like this, like the real, what really makes a room look lived in and stuff. It is very difficult.
That's the Mike Zeck Daredevil cover.
Oh, this guy! Look at this guy. He looks like Green Arrow.
And who is that?
That's Sienkiewicz.
Yeah.
Oh, it's like Neil Adams Sienkiewicz. Like when he was still, when he was still doing a lot of Neil Adams style stuff. Oh, wow. That's the thing too. You see the base that he started with, and it's such a strong base. And at a certain point, he just didn't have anything to prove. I don't.
This is so Neil Adams.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Is that who I think it is?
Ultron.
Ultron, yeah.
Yeah, there's a couple issues of Daredevil.
They let him get away
Ultron.
with a bunch of stuff. That is not what Ultron really looks like, but he just kind of went off, And it looked so much cooler than the other designs anyways. I guess they were just like, yeah, sure. Draw him however you want to draw him, Donnie.
Oh, Doom.
Whenever he gets to go off
What's
on
the
Jack Kirby stuff, it's just
Hang on a sec. Which comic is this? Okay, 275. I have to get this. I need to have this in my life just for this shot of Doom right here.
So what does this look like in pencil? Like all this
wild stuff. It's almost like his own Kirby tech, like John Romita Jr. Kirby tech.
Yeah.
It's like wicked.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's such a student of Kirby. I got these Thors over here, and that's when I saw the Kirby in him, and it's like, man, he really understands all of that language. He does his own, but it's rougher version, 80s version. He does the Kirby dots, but it's more kind of spattery all over the place, and and he knows how to draw power. He knows how to draw those giant, like, one-page things of like Thor punching somebody, and it's like the world is gonna explode from the impact. Like, not everybody can do that.
Like here's a straight-on one-point perspective side shot. That's great.
What is that dog?
That's Lockjaw from the Inhumans.
Yeah, Lockjaw. Yeah, from the Inhumans.
You can teleport.
Pretty weird concept for sure.
Weird to be in Daredevil.
Yeah.
I don't know what he's doing here.
That's what I mean. And
The Road Warriors.
Like,
Best tag team ever.
yeah.
Oh, that shot of Ultron is amazing. Look at the hand. That's awesome. That design of the hand is amazing.
I like this running shot.
Yeah. I also love those boots.
Again, 80s boots.
Yeah, the boots are great.
Super.
Like, that should be a wrestling album. That's an awesome.
I need to own this comic, bro.
Yeah, so great.
So good.
I think she was just going off, and at some point, he's teamed with the Inhumans, and they're just doing, and they're on a road trip and stuff. Like, she just kind of, I don't know if it stands up these days or not, but when I was a kid, I was like, man, these are so fun,
Wicked.
The combination of Nesenti and Romita was really good. That's so good, man.
Yeah,
so good. That seriously should be a costume. I know, obviously,
That's an
it's
amazing
super
costume.
American over the top, but it's also pretty cool.
Wicked. So
The
wicked.
stripes on the arm and everything, pretty cool. He draws Ultron weird, man.
I like the way he draws his hands.
Yeah.
He kind of looks like the Destroyer.
Yeah, exactly. It's true.
Yeah.
That's
Probably
Very Destroyer from Thor.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's those rings that give everything such a three-dimensional feel. When Jack Kirby has that, it's like all these lines to make you really feel how it's coming at you.
Wicked.
Yeah.
Yeah, some of the best work has been done on Daredevil. It almost feels like, remember when like Alien and Aliens and Alien 3 came out? It was like the best of the best directors would take on that property to do something really arty and crazy. It feels like that's what Daredevil is. It's like people pushing the art of comics, the storytelling, the language, everything. Like,
It's the one Marvel comic that has that pedigree where it's like top this, top this, top this. And it's like I'm a huge fan of Brubaker. I've never read his run on Daredevil that came after Bendis, but I read Bendis's run. I was like,
with Alex Maleev?
Alex Maleev, yeah. It was really like the conversation. There's an argument between, I don't have them here actually. I have them, I think my brother has them in his long boxes at his home. But there's a conversation between Luke Cage and Daredevil, and it's just them arguing. But it was such a naturalistic kind of back and forth. I felt the tension between the two of them, and by the end it was one of those things that's such a small thing, but I put it down and I was like, wow, like I was impressed, you know. I was like, that's what a real argument sounds like between two dudes that are about to hit each other but don't quite, you know, like just that unreleased tension. Like I really felt that, you know. So yeah, it's a challenge for each writer and artist when they come on the series. Like, think about who came before. It's daunting, you know.
Yeah, you gotta step up.
Yeah, you got to step up.
You gotta step up if you're doing Daredevil. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a murderer's row of amazing writers and artists in
Yeah.
this book.